Fellow tennis nerds, today I'm here with Tamara Zidansek, a WTA player from Slovenia. Amazing run in the 2021 French Open semifinals. She won a title in Lausanne that year, reached top 50 in the world, and she's been as high as 20 around in the world. A great player, and we're going to talk about her career today, but also about the sport, being a pro, living on the tour, and all that entails. But first, we start with how are you, Tamara?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. It's really cool to be here and to have this chat with you. So I'm really excited.
One thing that I wanted to get to kind of straight away is that you openly talked a little bit about like your hate-love relationship with tennis, which I think all tennis players have. Is that something you can describe? Like, how is that for you? Like, you love the sport, then you kind of hate the sport, and it's a strange sport to play, kind of.
Yeah, I think like you said it, we all have it, not just tennis players. I mean, I know for myself that I invested most of my life so far, and it's like that thing that you think about 24/7. And I absolutely love the sport. If I were to choose if I could do this again, I would. Um, so that's the love part, right? But then, as this kind of progresses from the game to, let's say, your job, your something that you earn money with, your make your career with, you kind of forget about that love part, and it's all work, work, work. And then when the results don't come, it's a little bit of a struggle when you're not feeling the way you want to. Um, yeah, and just kind of go through these ups and downs. You're on a high, and it's hard to keep that level all the time. So there comes a deep, and it's like almost like a process to kind of get yourself together, build up from that again. So yeah, that it's up and down, and a lot of emotions, a lot of, let's say, pressure, because it's a short career that athletes live, right? So you need to make the most out of it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating way to live life in a way because, as you said, you invest so much time from very young age, and then you're thrown into this life where you have to travel like every week. Like many other sports, you don't travel as much as tennis players do. You're always like into a next hotel, next city, and then before you have time to even look at the city, you are like going to some other place, right? So it's a
Yeah,
strange life living in a suitcase, I guess.
yeah. Luckily, I've never had problems with traveling. I actually like it still. It does, like at the end of the season when you draw the line, I think the traveling part takes the most out of you, the most energy, the most effort, physical, mental, which is maybe weird because we practice, let's say, 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours per day. But yeah, the traveling really takes most out of you. But um when I went to my first bigger tournaments when I was a junior, my coach at the time and we did a lot of sightseeing, more than playing the tennis. So luckily, I got that out of the way. But I still, when there's time, like to um, kind of get out of the tennis environment and go see something, if there's time and energy. But I'll always try to do that.
How important is like that part, like bringing partly other experiences into tennis, but also like the mental health part of it? Because I mean, every week most players are always losing, right? Like it's that you lose at some point. If you win a title, it's amazing, but generally you have to deal always with losses and that day where you have to travel and the day you lost. Is that something you've worked on, or is that something you see other players talk more about, like the mental health part of tennis?
Yeah, that's definitely become more spoken about in the last, I don't know, let's say 4 years or something, which is true, because and good that we're talking about it, because I mean, we're all tennis players, and let's say there's a thousand and more tennis players playing um at a high level, playing tournaments, traveling around the world, and we're all experiencing different emotions, different scenarios. We're all living different paths, we just happen to cross in the sport of tennis, but we all have our own lives, and we're all dealing with our um, emotions differently. So it's important that you have people um, that you can talk to, that kind of are able to see you as a person and not as a tennis player only, and that kind of managed to take you out from the hectic world of tennis.
How important is that relationship with the coach there? Like that you have a good chemistry and also maybe some jokes, some fun stuff, because the player coach relationship is a key part of being a tennis player.
Yeah, it's a unique relationship because I was just speaking to one guy about this. It's like at the end of the day, you maybe spend even more time with a coach than you do with your partner or your family, which is really strange. So I've always had good relationships with my coaches. I'm not a kind of person to like separate tennis and personal, like we live 24/7 together. So there needs to be an element of like being able to switch. Okay, now we're on tennis and now we're tennis court and now this is our life. We get to know each other a little bit better. We have inside jokes. I think that's really important. I love that kind of dynamic with everyone in the team. So yeah.
Yeah, it must be really important, especially since you're traveling together. So there's some stress always, and that's something you have to deal with. And then obviously, like many other relationships, they sometimes break, and then you have to know how to move on, and you have to deal with that in a good way. So there's a lot of, I think, pressure on tennis players because you're like your own entrepreneurs. You're like self-employed. You're dealing with taxes and relationships in your teams and so on, and then you have to also perform on the court. So it's
Yeah,
like a tough
it's a
life in that sense.
business. It's a
Yeah.
business. Yeah.
Is that something you like that part of it, or do you think that's like a headache that you want to kind of get rid of all the like the business element of tennis?
I actually do enjoy it. I like the freedom that it brings. I'm my own boss, let's say. Of course, yeah. There's always gonna be pros and cons to it, but I think there's more pros to that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating element of the sport. So how did you if we start from the beginning, kind of like born in Slovenia, how did you get into tennis? Like was you were like Yannick Sinner, you were like into snowboarding, skiing as well, or how did your journey look like?
Yeah. Well, my dad played, um, but I kind of started up with I was in the snowboarding school, and they had like these summer camps, and they had tennis, and then I went to this camp, and then I did some lessons on the side, and I played a little with a little bit with my dad, and then I kind of started playing tennis tournaments, and did like snowboarding races at the same time. But I was like 9, 10 years old, um, and then I kind of had to decide because it was starting to get too much.
Yeah, and there's obviously at some point in a young person's life you have to make that choice. Otherwise, you like if you get injured snowboarding and you can't play tennis, and if you want to really become a tennis pro, then it's another story. Did you get any elements from that you could bring into tennis, like the balance, like or something?
Definitely balance. I think that's really good. Like, I don't, because it was at a really early age, but I think balance definitely. Otherwise, it's just like I didn't do only snowboarding and tennis. I did athletics. I went to play basketball, football with my friends. So I did a lot of sports in general. So I think all of that kind of helped me as to shape us into the athlete that I am today.
Yeah, it's they say it's important for kids to try many different sports because you partly you can choose what's your favorite, like what feels most natural. What was it with tennis that made it feel natural to you? Was there anything like you fell in love with straight away with tennis?
I think I don't remember then, but I just think like if you ask me now, I love the complexity of the sport. It requires, it's a big challenge to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, the mental, the physical, the technical parts of it. So it's really satisfying when you manage to do that, and it's never boring.
No, I think that's the one of the beautiful elements of tennis that it's also contrast. Like you're playing one player that has one style, and then you change surfaces, and then you change conditions, and everything changes all the time, and you have to as a player problem solve all the time. And
Exactly. And it's you can be on the top of your like physical, mental, tennis, technical um, elements, but you're still playing an opponent. So it's a game. It's not like that. Oh, I'm the strongest. I'm the fastest. That's it. No, you still have to beat the player in the game.
yeah, it's like you can master the game, but then another player throws another bunch of problems at you, and then you have to,
Yeah.
okay, I have to rebuild now, or like really reformat everything and start over again,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. Exactly. Problem solve, like you said. Every
Yeah,
point is different.
yeah, it's a bit like chess with net in between. So now you're in a situation on the part of the season where you go from clay, which you're famously very good at, to grass, which you're also good at, but it's not maybe as much of a love. How is that that transition for you?
No, I actually love playing on grass. I because but I really haven't been able to play a lot, you know. Most of the years in my career, I only went to play Wimbledon because it's like you go from clay, um, then you decide if you're in a position in rankings where you can play any tournaments before, because the transition is like Roland Garros and you go straight into grass if you want. But of course, I need to juggle my favorite surface and then getting ready for Wimbledon. And the reality is that there's only like 3 or 4 weeks of grass tournaments. And as much as I love playing on it, it's done before I can really say that okay, now I'm feeling good, you know. So I love playing on it, but I wish I could play more.
Do you think the season is too short for the grass?
I'd love a few more tournaments on grass court. Yeah.
It would makes maybe sense to have like at least one Masters tournament, considering like all other surfaces have at least a Master. To build it up a bit more, because now, like you say, and I talk to other players as well. Like you're just out of the French Open, and then the next tournament you're on like grass, but then it's like, and then it's Wimbledon, and then it's over. So it's
Yeah,
very rushed.
a lot of players don't get the opportunity to play all these 250s, 500 in the UK and now Germany. Yeah, there's a 125 right now and a 100 maybe. But it's so close to the clay season that a lot of players decide to keep playing on clay and just say, okay, I'm just gonna play Wimbledon and see what happens, you know. But it's one of the biggest tournaments, and I think it would deserve a little bit an easier transition into it.
Is there anything specific you're trying to work on now in your practice, like getting ready for Wimbledon? Is like to get that adjustment in a good spot.
Well, I'm right now with my tennis. I'm in a little bit of a unknown situation. Let's say I I just currently I don't have a coach. So I'm kind of going back to my basics, you know, which I love. Um, uh, just the things that I did good as a 16-year-old when I started playing and my game fundamentals, you know. So I'm really working on those on the court, you know, getting building my game around my forehand, kind of getting ready in the gym for grass courts, which is, you know, staying low, a lot of that. So the legs are burning. Yeah, just in general, trying to get rid of any uh, body glitches, any pains there are. Like this is a non-stop, you know. You need to kind of put that in your everyday routine. So now I'm starting to, um, yeah, feel better physically, which I have been a little bit struggling in the past, but hopefully in the upcoming months, this is gonna fade away and I'll be able to, you know, play more and more.
How frustrating it is to deal with injuries. Everybody has to do it, but it's like some players get more of it and some players get less of it. Like it's one of the parts you have to always manage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can say I'm lucky in the terms of like I've never had like a torn ACL or like a, you know, a broken leg or something. But I've always had little inflammations that last a long time. You know, it's with the shoulder it was 8 months. With the knee now it's been 7 months. Like you can play through it, but it's always there. So thankfully it's nothing major, but it's very annoying. And with time, you know, it starts to affect your mentality as well. So yeah, it's tricky. Um, but I'm doing the best I can to manage the pain and um, yeah, to prevent it from happening again.
Now without the coach, is that kind of a good way, sometimes to reset yourself? Like you were talking about going back to how you used to play as a junior, and maybe is that maybe a good way to could reconnect with your feeling around tennis, your game plan and it's the game plan and stuff that you had before, and take a little bit of even if it's a short period, but they maybe have a period without a coach. I've seen other players do it occasionally.
Yeah, I've been actually wanting to do it, or had thoughts about doing it for quite a few years. I've grown up with a coach since I was, let's say, 10 years old or whatever. Um, and in the past years, I've wanted to try it, and it so turned out now that maybe um, I don't have a coach that's here. Okay, now you jump in like I had in the past. So I'm happy with how things are right now, and I'm definitely in a position where I know my tennis really well now, and I know how to build my game. And because when a coach comes in, they're always gonna see your tennis through their eyes, and they're gonna want to do their best to um, adapt it to modern tennis the way they see it right now, which is great. But I'm not your typical Sabalenka Rybakina that plays the modern tennis. So I need to find different ways, and I feel like um, in the past I've kind of drifted away from that path of my tennis. How I win points, um, how I build my game. So it's definitely good to kind of start thinking about my tennis with my own head without like having this, oh, you should do that, you should do that because this is how they play. No, like, of course that's really good, but when you have your base game, then you can start to build and improve. So I've been missing that a little bit in the past. So I'm working just on that. I need my top spin regardless of the surface. And you can say, yeah, I could have done that 3 years ago, but I don't think I was what, 24. At that time I don't think I was that confident about my tennis and about myself, in what I need.
It's a good way of putting it because I think you need to be quite mature to actually be able to analyze and say, hey, maybe I don't need to listen to someone else right now. I can just listen to myself for a bit. And then when I'm ready, I will open up for more input. Because as you said, I think a lot of players get that. Like you always have a coach around and you will, of course, listen to the coach, is someone you're paying for their advice and for their guidance, right? And but sometimes it's tough to know when not to listen or maybe when to push back or be a little bit more like independent because I mean you're paying this person so they're gonna give you
Yeah.
advice and you should obviously do it because otherwise why are you paying them and so on.
And for me, the hardest thing was to say no. Like, no, I don't agree with that. I was taught to listen and to do what they told me. So when that kind of contradicted with how I'm feeling about my game, wasn't really good.
No, but I think it's a common thing like people struggle with because it's like that dynamic with the coach. You're
Mm.
getting them in for one reason. What are some characteristics you would look for in a coach whenever you're ready to get one?
That's a really tough question because I think I'm in the period of my life where this is kind of changing. If you ask me right now, I would wait a little bit to build my own confidence around my game, and then I would look for someone to work with me. Like, okay, I need help with this. You focus on this, nothing else. Um, whilst like if you asked me 3 years ago, I would need someone. I thought I needed someone who's gonna be there, who's gonna know everything about me, like a really good mental support as well. Where right now I don't feel I need that, and it's just like kind of um, I you need to learn to go with the flow a little bit, I think, um, because I know I'm gonna need help with my tennis, right? Once you build the game, the basics, you need an expert to tell you like um listen, this could be better, but like to build it slowly, I need to be in a good mental state to receive information and feedback. So yeah.
What is the scouting of other players, like, is that an important part to you, or you're really more like focused on your own game? It's not so much, but like, okay, she has a weak second serve and she does this on the third shot of the rally, kind of.
It's always been a big part of my game because like I said, I can't just go on court and hit through opponents especially when I'm not feeling my best, or my game is not the best. So uh, I've been taught to adapt tactically. But I I have learned that if you play good and you put focus on you, it doesn't matter what the opponent does. So I think that tactical element comes into play when you're feeling good about your game and you are in a position to direct your shots into opponents' weaknesses or make them feel uncomfortable. But you're always the first one. If you feel comfortable with your backhand going down the line and that's your best shot, go for it. It doesn't matter if you're going to the opponent's strength at the time.
Yeah, and also the way, if you play strategically like you do, then I also think you have learned over such long time that you will problem solve in the situation, probably. Like you will figure out, like, this player plays like this, it's this surface, is this situation in the match, and then you have to figure it out. Like, because I mean, tennis players mainly have to figure a lot of things out themselves. It can help to have a coach, but it's with experience, it makes it a little bit easier, I would guess.
That's the complicated dynamic that happens between a coach and a player because most of my coaches in my life, they were like, I want you to play by yourself. You need to problem solve by yourself. Okay, but you're telling me what to do in practice, so I expect you. Why are you there at the tournament if you're not telling me, you're not helping me? I'm in a stressful situation. If you see something, you tell me, right? No, I just let you to do it by yourself. You need to. Yeah, of course, I understand that I need to, but that's the complicated dynamic for because yeah, like you said, I need to problem solve myself. I'm on the court, but you need to be able to trust the coach that they know what you've been working on we've been working on a tennis court in practice and translate that into a match court into the match. They need to pick the right moments to tell you, to give you cues, to remind you of what you were working on in practice. So that's the complicated dynamic that needs to happen. They need to find the right moments to kind of remind you of that little moments in practice that you were building your game.
Yeah, and it's important to speak at the right time, like in a match, for example. Like some players like a lot of feedback all the time, if
Yeah,
and some players like it to be there when it matters, right? So then you need, as a coach, to understand,
exactly.
like, this is a key point. Like, and now she's not doing this, or this is a thing we worked on, and maybe I can help a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, the moments are everything. So I guess I would be one of the players that you would need to pick the right moments to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense as well, because like you don't want like a constant chatter all the I mean, if I played, I would be like, this is annoying now. Like,
Yeah,
you don't need to
yeah,
talk all the
no,
time.
yeah. But some players like to speak and have the conversations all the time. That's how they process their emotions. That's how they see things more objectively.
That's true. There's some need to have it, like, as kind of as a their therapy during the match, because the match is very stressful. That's
Yeah.
definitely a part of it, like the constant stress. Um, when you're traveling around on the tour, like, do you have any like absolute favorite places to travel to where you feel like most at home, and maybe the opposite, if maybe you don't want to single anything out, but at least favorites.
Well, I absolutely love Australia. The whole Australian tour is my favorite. I really, really like Japan. But I do not like India. Yeah. Just a few. But we players are pretty much used to anything.
Yeah, you have to adjust all the time, but of course you can make your schedule a little bit, like, because if you don't like a place, like, or you're not like playing well there, like, maybe it's not a point to add a spot in the calendar for that. Like, it's better
Yeah,
to go somewhere else, have a work training period or something, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And Australia is like for tennis fans, of course, like that's when the season starts. Everybody's super excited. It's a very joyful place. I think a lot of the players really love going there. And Japan, I
Yeah,
only
that's
hear
true.
good stuff about as well.
I really like the tournament in Bastad.
Ah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's like it's really nice. And just the place, it's really amazing. And you come there in the middle of the summer, and it's like 20 max, 20 degrees max. So it's really refreshing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool there. Like I go now, it's the third year I go, and it's and you're like it's oh no it's raining and it's sunny and then oh it's raining oh it's sunny, but it's like
Yeah,
the temperature is pretty nice actually.
yeah, in the middle of the summer, and I'm wearing my jacket in the evening.
That's Sweden for you.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna play this year or?
No, I don't think so. I think this year, because they only have the main draw tournament.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to the other one, the contract wheel.
Yeah, it's always tricky how you have to choose your tournaments, you know, like that's
Mm.
it's like how how much work is going on behind that, like when you're planning your calendar, like that must be a huge headache for a tennis player.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially when you're ranked around 110 to 230. You know, the qualies of Grand Slams will
Hmm.
get in, but you don't get into any Masters tournaments. You maybe some in qualies. Um, so that's really tricky because you have to plan. Yeah, you have to be creative with you need to combine the WTAs with ITFs. You never know. It's tough. It's the easiest to be top 20. You know everything. You know your whole calendar for the whole year. So that's super easy.
Yeah, you describe an interesting point. I have other friends in the exact same ranking spots, and like it's the rankings are such a fascinating part of tennis because you can easily get obsessed. You know, you look at like, okay, I need these points, and then especially for the Grand Slams, because that's a big money part of the game. Like getting deep into a Grand Slam or at least qualifying can be a life changing for certain players. So obviously, it's like constantly looking at rankings, thinking of points. How much of that takes up like a space in your head, like the ranking, the points chasing?
I have to say that in general, I never looked at rankings ever. Um, but now I kind of have to because I don't have um, people who kind of in the past, I when I was younger, I had people who were like, okay, this is the tournament, this is what we're gonna play. Then when I got older and I took over for that, yeah, I was still at a position where it kind of made sense to play all the bigger tournaments. Now I'm not, so now I have to look at the rankings. We have to discuss with my team. This is what I'm gonna play. Da, da, da. Then we have to count points. You know, I need this many points now. So now it's become a little bit of a factor, but I kind of don't care still, so that's good.
I think that's a sound like because you can hear players really like, oh, waking up in the middle of the night calculating points, or something because it's
Yeah, yeah, no, no, it's tough, yeah, because um, you have to do it, but at the same time, you shouldn't worry about it. So, I mean, how am I not gonna worry about if I'm not gonna play qualies of the next tournament? I'm not gonna get in, you know. So that could add a lot of pressure, but yeah, it comes back to trusting your game, trusting the things you do on court, and you kind of have to shape your mentality like that, you know. Trust the process and believe that the tennis will speak for itself.
yeah. Otherwise, you're just getting even more stress from the points. Like you're already playing a match. It's prize money. It's a professional match, so it's like a livelihood thing. And then you also add points and chasing points. And the next week, and it's like maybe too much pressure to add for one person.
You know, like, yeah, I mean, even if you're playing good, it takes time to get up there, you know. It If you're starting from zero, it would still take 6 to 8 months for you to get to the position where you would play qualies of a Grand Slam. So it's not like you have to really be patient, which is the hardest thing to do because it's not gonna happen overnight. You work so hard, but you're still gonna lose really tough matches, which is going to be emotional. You're going to need to recover. You're going to have to get up next day and do the same thing again. And it's going to be up and down. But yeah, you have to just take it day by day and go with the flow. And yeah, if I'm learning anything, is to not chase that, because we all have that vision of ourselves. Okay, this is me. This is top 100, top 50, top 30, top 10, whatever. And we all, I know I do it, like chase that, and then forget what's happening in the moment, and life is happening, and years are flying by, and we're not gonna remember the moments. We still live a pretty good life. We're still in such a great and comfortable life position, which is hard to. We forget it sometimes.
Yeah, I think everybody gets lost in the chase, whether it's ATP points or
Yeah,
money or whatever, you get like, you're not focusing on like, okay, I should enjoy today, just drinking this cup
yeah,
of coffee. You're just, okay, I have to get this and do that. And it's always like chasing. It's part of the human nature, but it's also a disrupting part of finding like life happiness as well. Like that's the more
yeah.
important part. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's just a constant battle between balancing your life, your tennis life, your emotions, your um, motivations. So it's challenging, and again, it's that's the part of the tennis that I love. Never boring.
No, it's never stops. Like it goes constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah,
I have to kind of get to that now. Like, so you French Open 2021. It's the middle of the pandemic, which is an extra spanner in the works, and you managed to go all the way through the semifinals of a Grand Slam. Like it's a life changing moment for you, I imagine. How did you deal with that? How was it? Like, and did the pandemic affect your emotions in any way, or and how was that year? Because you had an amazing year as well. Like you won a tournament and everything was just was a great year.
yeah. The pandemic did affect me a little bit because we spent 6 months at home, but that was in 2020. And then going back on tour, it was in August 2020. I have to say I struggled because I was really comfortable. I have to say that here in Slovenia, where I spent the pandemic, it wasn't that bad, like especially for athletes. We were able to go and practice our sport, especially tennis. It was not a contact sport, so I practiced throughout it all. um I was with my family, so it was really comfortable. And then going back on tour, you have to like leave all of that and travel again and go right back into it. So I was feeling a little homesick, which I didn't necessarily feel before the pandemic that much. um so it was in that year we played the Roland Garros in 2020 in October, and I had actually one of the toughest losses that I had, because I played really good, and I lost to Garbine Muguruza in like 8-6 final set. So
Oof.
that I actually then the next year in 2021 I played with Andrescu first round, and I won 9-7. And I remember thinking during that match that I am not gonna, because in 2020 when it came to that situation, I didn't know actually how to play the difference. I wasn't in that position that many times, maybe just one time before. So I was like, okay, it was a little bit unfamiliar. So I took that experience, and I remember thinking during the match against Andrescu, like, I know how it is. I know what to do. Da, 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 da. So like that win for me was really, yeah, kind of the breaking the ice. And from then on, it was tennis speaking for itself, because I was in a really good place. Um, I did split with my coach that I had for 10 years. That kind of taught me how I play. So when you spend some with 10 years with someone and then you stop, there's a lot of expectations and emotions that just kind of deload. So I was really free in what I was doing, but the quality of the tennis and the work that we had done was really good. So I was just flying. And yeah, winning, getting to the semifinals, was at the time I didn't really uh, knew the importance of it. You know, of course you're a player and you want to do that, but like if something like that happens now, you know, it's gonna be, I'm gonna, I guess, experience it differently, because at the time, of course, it was phenomenal, but things were just kind of happening, you know, like I didn't even know why, you know, it's just, I was just playing, trying to just get ready for the next match and the next one and the next one. And um, then winning the tournament in Lausanne. I had lost, I think, two finals before that of 250, so it was my third final. So I really wanted to win, and was just able to kind of fly on that confidence that I had. So it was a really good year that, um, you know, like you said, changed my life, and that I'm appreciating more now, than maybe I did. Not that I didn't appreciate it at the time. It's just like I'm kind of comprehending more now what it means than I did when it was happening, because it was just happening so fast.
Yeah, and it's I think it's a classic that you're like, okay, well, maybe this is the new normal. Now I'll just make semis in slams. Like, I mean, it's a massive achievement to do it, because like I see every slam as like the world championship of that surface. You know, like it's the football world championship. Like it's a huge event. So it's like, okay, and I think now, I think every year the slams are growing bigger in like partly money, but also in the brand, the stature. Now, like I mean, like when I went to French Open this year, it's like, feels like it's the tournament's even more important every year. You know, it's like it's just blowing it up. So it's an amazing achievement. But when you're in it, I understand completely. You're young as well, so you're in it. You're like, okay, you know, I'm now Wimbledon. I'm going to be in the finals, so you're just focusing on the next thing. But it still gives you a lot of experience, of course, as a player, and you learn a lot. Uh, how important is like confidence? Like 2021, amazing year. You have that run, you win tournament, and a lot of good results. Like, how important is, as a for tennis players, to build that confidence?
It's important for sure. For some players, it takes less time. For some players, it takes longer. I think like I would be somewhere in between. I need tournaments to. I need to play a few tournaments to build my confidence. I need to lose a few matches to learn from them, you know. Um, but I think most of the confidence is built on a practice court. Like, if another thing that I learned in the past few months, years, is that don't go play matches if you're not, or at least don't expect that you're gonna win everything if you're not feeling competitive. You know, if you haven't done the work physically, mentally, technically, you can go play, but don't take it hard that you might lose a few matches. You know, that you felt like you could have won. So, and then I do it, players do it, we go and we play not ready, and that affects your confidence. But you have to play, because if you don't play, and where you could have won one match, you know, and then you lost the second one, but if you don't even win that one, you slide down the rankings. So you kind of have to play, but then you have to be strong enough to decide, no, 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 I'm gonna leave this tournament. I'm gonna practice and build up to to have more chance in the next one. So yeah, confidence is really important. Everyone needs to find a balance as to where they find it, because some players are different. Some players are going to get their confidence strictly to playing tournaments, you know. So you need to find whatever works for you. But yeah.
Have you, over the years, like felt like you become better at dealing with losses, like when they happen? Like, does that help with like some maturity?
um I think my I think I actually handled losses better when I was younger, but it was because of uh, the whole practice and playing tournaments. Was the whole mentality was strictly about, um improving. Like, okay, you lost a match. Okay, this is what we're gonna do better. We go on practice court, we fix it. We go on a match court. It doesn't matter if you lose a match here or there. Now it's I feel like I've I need to get better at dealing with losses, but not emotionally, more through like looking at it objectively. Okay, this is what happened. This is what you need to go and practice. It's just as easy as that. Go and do it and practice it until you feel like it's good enough, and then you go and you do it again. Try to do it again on a match court, and you look at it objectively. It's like kind of to shape your mentality as a constant learning process and trying to get better in your game, because at the end of the day, if you play good tennis, that's it. Again, something that maybe I forgot and got lost. Like you said, the tournaments are being hyped up a lot. Oh, it's that, it's a lot of attention, and you come on a tennis court and you're like, I really, really, really need to win this because I really need to get points. I really need to get money, but you forget that. But it's hard to focus on strictly improving your tennis game because you get lost in the chaos of it all. So that's definitely, I think, one part of mentality that you need to be strong at, which I would call that an kind of an off-court mentality, an everyday process.
Do you have some kind of like match journal or something, or like take notes somewhere about like a practice session or a match when you win or lose? Like what are like key learnings that I can take now that you're your own coach for a bit? Maybe that's something even more useful.
Yeah, I do. Not just now, I did that. Like I always like to jot down like 2 things I did good and 1 thing I can improve on, whether it was in practice or in during a match.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think it's easy to forget, like, because otherwise you get lost in am I, what's my process like, and where am I needing to improve to do better in the next tournament and so on, because you have no like record. And with some journaling you can get back and like, okay, this is the process is more positive than maybe in your head, because you feel like bad if you have a loss, but then you see, okay, I made some improvements over time here. So I
Yeah, I
think that
kind of
makes
view it
sense.
also as a visualization. You do a practice or you have a match, and you kind of prepare for a match or a practice. You play the match or you do the practice, and then that would be like your kind of, I'm closing this chapter, and that's it. Now reset and next one.
Yeah, that's a good way, because you isolate then the match experience. You're like, okay, this is one isolated thing, learnings, next one, and it doesn't build up like maybe some mental scar tissue, like you have some, like, oh, it's just another loss or another this, and you're just like isolating it. Okay, lesson, training, what I need to do, and next. It's a good point.
Yeah,
Your off season, how does that look? You always go to the Maldives like everyone else, or you're doing something else?
I was there twice. But no, we like this year we didn't have much time to go to any vacation actually. We didn't want to because it's a lot of planes, so you kind of want to
Yeah.
not go on a plane. So we just decided to stay home. And then we we did the last few pre-seasons in Tenerife, and then this one we did Ivan Ljubicic Academy in Veliloshin, which was really good. I love it there. It's really, actually, it's close to Slovenia. It's like a 3-4 hour drive with a ferry. It's super nice.
Yeah, that's nice. It must be nice to also go home. Like, I mean, Slovenia is a beautiful country. I only been once, but and is that nice for you to reset, to go back home, like spend time with parents, or just stay home?
Yeah, for sure. I love being home. Who doesn't? And it's important, to kind of like I said that before, but like to kind of get out of the tennis world and come back to where you're not a tennis player, where you can do whatever you want, just relax and chill and kind of charge your batteries.
Do you have any side hustles besides tennis? Any hobbies you're doing just to get your mind off of the hitting the ball?
I like probably a lot of tennis players, athletes. I spend most of my free time on a couch watching TV series. Um, when I get a few days to relax and recharge, then I start to become annoying for myself, and I want to get out. I want to go for a walk, for a run, maybe. I enjoy like that process of kind of being active, doing something um, good, not for the doing part, but mostly once you take a shower and you relax, it's a really good feeling, like you've done something. So yeah, once I gain my energy back, I like to go for a run.
Yeah, that's now always nice to get some exercise. And how important is for you to build like your fitness? Do you have like a whole team for that, like a fitness trainer? Because you're like a player, obviously you play strategically. You have a lot of topspin. You play long points. You're a physical player. How important is
Yeah,
building your physique for that?
yeah, my physique is really important. It's a big part of my tennis, and importantly, my mentality. Um, I've had problems with like these inflammations here and there for the past 2 3 years, which have been really annoying. And I haven't been feeling my best physically, so we've been working really hard to get rid of those. And for the past 3 4 months, I can say it's starting to look better. Um, Obviously, these niggles are always going to be there. You just have to um, adapt. I saw a video on Instagram the other day. It was like um, uh, professional athletes in their sport, and then it's like running crazy side to side, no problem, and then at home barely walking.
I've
So
seen that
this
one.
is, yeah, it's real. Yeah, so it's really important. It took me a while to kind of figure out my how to build my basic fitness, how to get to what like you ask yourself, okay, I'm feeling great, so what did I do to feel to to get there? So it took me a while to figure out, like, okay, I get sick, whatever, I need to build up, so now I know what that will look like, and I would be ready in 5 to 7 days to be like, okay, now I can go on a tennis court and practice normal. Yeah, when I was younger, I didn't know, I was working, people really good people took care of it. Now I started to kind of ask myself that, and I know what to do.
Something we have to ask on this channel is a lot of people are nerdy about rackets and strings. Like, have you what racket and string do you play with? And if you can say, some players can't say because with contracts and here and there. But
Yeah, no, I play with a V-Core 100, um and with the latest one. And the string I played with Rev, Politur Rev 120, but I actually now went like 125 Politur Rev in mains and 120 in crosses. I don't know, it just gives me a little bit more durability.
do you feel like the testing different strings and like equipment makes a difference to your game? Like, do you feel like it affects a bit how you feel like injury wise and also for to get more
Yeah,
power and spin?
of course, yeah, it does. I've always had a really um, high high swing weight, I think, for women. So we actually, like, when we customized my racket, when I before I had any problems, I went as high as I can, as high as I could. Um, but then, of course, I started having problems, so we went the complete opposite, because at one point I couldn't play with a high swing weight. We had to put everything in the handle, because it was just too heavy. Not so much the weight, just the swing weight. And now that the shoulder is all okay, I was able to kind of go back to the higher swing weight, which helps my spin. But I think it's around 310 swing weight now, and I wanna go a little bit lower, uh, just to get um, the extra hand speed, arm speed, because it's like when I had shoulder problems, I also went to play with guts. So I when your shoulder hurts, you adapt. I wasn't hitting anymore, you know, so I was looking for that extra power. But then now that all kind of went away, and I went to back to full poly, and now I kind of need to adjust the records to what I'm able to play with. So it's a lot of adapting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always adapting, and for all the I think pros overall, I talk to a lot of pros, and it's like you see more of a awareness around the equipment. Obviously, it's not good to keep changing all the time because your muscle memory, or you can be a little bit. It becomes too much in your head, like other things, like you can get into your head is never good as a tennis player. But you see a lot like you want more power. That's what everybody says, ATP, and I think also WTA quite common. But then not everyone likes gut hybrid, for example. Like you play with a lot of spin, maybe gut is not going to feel weird for you, and then it's about finding like how fast can I swing this, with still having a good swing weight so you get some power. So that's always the balance, and it's tricky to experiment as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, we asked a few people and they told me, oh, you should definitely play with gut in crosses, for my game. But I just couldn't, like, I didn't like it. So at the end of the day, if on paper you should like something and you don't, it's whatever you play and you feel good with. Yeah, of course, you can feel good with something and the result won't be as good. I don't think that will happen many times, but it can. But if you feel good with something, that's the way to go.
Yeah, and you can't force things upon people because a lot like maybe a racket customizer or someone will say, "Hey, you should try this," and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I was doing this process a little bit with Stefanos, and he couldn't play with gut, like he didn't like it at all. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, you tried it, it's done. You don't need
yeah,
to go
yeah,
back.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
definitely, I think polys are, um, if you want to play a little bit more active, you hit the ball with a little bit more spin, than the polys to the string to go. It gives you so much more. That's what I learned.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like the ball kicks in over and over again, and it's like cheating. That's what Agassi used to call it, like a cheatalon when Laxalon came. It's
Yeah,
like it's cheating this.
yeah, you feel the ball on the string much better, but the feeling like the with the gut is really good because it's really soft and it goes, but you feel the ball on the string more with poly.
Yeah, I think so too. It depends like how you hit the ball, but like the way you
Yeah,
play with the low spin, I think the gut
yeah.
is not gonna be a good option really.
Mm.
So what happens today? You have a big packed training day. You're getting ready for Wimbledon qualies. Do you have a really strict schedule, like 6 hours training a day, or how heavy is it?
Oh, I wish I could do that. No, definitely not 6 hours anymore. Today is my day off, actually. I've been practicing on hard courts these days, and working hard in gym to get ready for grass. And now I'm actually going to because we have a grass court in Slovenia, which is
Hmm.
really good. And the guy is really nice. He kind of makes the court for the tennis players in Slovenia that we go on grass, and he offers that we can play on it a few times. Not too much because obviously it gets ruined, but yeah. So I'm gonna go there and practice for 2 3 days, and then I'm gonna head to London on Thursday.
Best of luck in London, and that's really
Yeah, thank
nice. Like how is tennis in Slovenia? Is it moving in the right direction overall?
you. I don't know, but I don't think so. If I'm brutally honest, we have the players that we have now. There's a few guys that are really good, like they're 16-ish, like somebody is Sweet Sulic
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
and Giga Sheshko. Giga? Um, he, yeah, they're playing really good. As for girls, we have a few, of course, that are also part of our Billie Jean King Cup team, but the younger ones, I don't think there's anyone as good as we were. but um, hopefully in the next years there's gonna be more girls coming up as well.
Yeah, let's hope for that. Like we have the same issue when people ask me about Swedish tennis, being I'm Swedish, right? Like
Yeah,
I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay, no, it's like we have no one ranked in the top 100, or 200, I think even. So
we're
it's
definitely not like Italians.
no, Italians are everywhere. Like everywhere you look in the rankings, it's like Italian, 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 Italian.
Yeah,
But I think obviously what they did good in Italy and they have is a huge benefit is like they can play tournaments in Italy on every level every week, through the year, and that is a huge plus. Like you can travel just on the train or in the car, and then you play ITFs, you play futures, you play challengers, you play everything. So
yeah, no, definitely they've done a really good job, not just with players, like with coaches, I think.
exactly, it's at Italian tennis. We have to learn from the Italians, I guess,
Yeah, we do.
for sure. Well, thanks, Tamara. This was a great convo and really nice talking to you. Best of luck for the rest of the season. I'm gonna follow it. I have my Resultina app. We'll follow
Oh,
your
thanks.
social media, of course, on Instagram. I know social media for tennis players is always a double-edged sword because there's so many idiots betting on them, and then you get stupid messages.
Yeah, ignore.
Ignore, yeah, you have to ignore or block or turn off messages. But
Yeah,
it's a sad part of being a pro tennis player, really.
yeah. But I never really cared too much, to be honest, which is great.
That's good. That's good. That's the right
Yeah,
mindset, which is
yeah,
important. All
yeah.
right.
Well,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.